But first, here tonight at 6, new information about a sex offender accused of operating a ride at one of our local county fairs. 2 News was first to tell you about 26-year-old Tyrus Worsham of Piqua, a convicted child sex offender busted for operating a kiddie ride at the recent Darke County Fair. Tonight he faces new charges after police say he moved and then did not tell authorities who track sex offenders where he was going. Natalie Tendall broke the story. She's back with us tonight asking about background checks for other fair workers, something you may be wondering about now as thousands head to the Montgomery County Fair. Natalie?
Well, tonight is the first night of that Montgomery County Fair, and today I learned background checks may not be done on every person working there. People who work directly for the fair undergo background checks, but most of the people you see working the rides and food stands are not fair employees. They're hired by vendors, and it's up to those vendors to decide whether to do background checks.
Is officially open, right, John?
A county fair is a prime attraction for kids, flashing lights, stuffed animals, and rides. But those rides can be operated by people who have had no background checks. That's concerning to some at the Montgomery County Fair.
Yeah, you would assume that there'd be some sort of a clearance process, if you will, to vet the ride operators, since they will be working so closely with kids. I guess you just wonder, did that process fail, or is there not a process in place?
So we asked Montgomery County Fair leaders about their process. Charles Cox does most of their hiring. He confirms they background check all their employees, but has no control over the hiring or checking of food and ride vendors.
So I depend on them because they have the same interest I do, is to have honest employees, fair employees, clean employees. It's their reputation too.
The Darke County Sheriff's Office tells us the vendor who hired registered sex offender Tyrus Worsham was Kissel Brothers Shows. For days, we've asked what their hiring policy is. We still have not heard back. The Montgomery County Fair uses vendor Triple Treat Shows. I asked their ride manager, Russell Clements, about the Darke County incident.
And things like that actually can slip through the cracks. You never know. Sometimes, I mean, you check things out and you try to be as vigilant as you can to find out and make sure that you don't have any problems like that. But things do slip through the cracks sometimes, and it was unfortunate that it happened there.
Clements tells me they keep people from falling through the cracks by knowing their employees for years or getting good recommendations. If they do hire outside help, they say it's usually for the setup or takedown of equipment. Cox is confident families heading to the fair are safe. What would your message be to fairgoers to say that that's not going to happen again?
I would say this to any fairgoer with 57 years experience. I would never book anybody on this grounds that I thought had the slightest possibility of not having proper employees.
Now I spoke with Montgomery County Sheriff Phil Plummer about security at the Montgomery County Fair. He says they'll have more than a dozen officers on duty at all times the fair is open. He recommends reporting anything suspicious. Natalie Tendall, 2 News investigates.